And because of that abyss experience, um, I I had to find it's an experience of falling, falling endlessly, and it's an abyss experience. So it's so terrifying that I had to learn what happens after you come through the black hole. Where do you land? So I think it's been very, very powerful because it's about death and transformation.
Yeah. Um, your your curiosity, over time, did your curiosity shift and transform during your life, or stay basically the same as you go through the stages of a child, adult, and then you're influenced by Jungian psychology? Do you think your curiosity is staying the same, or is gone through different stages?
Yeah, yeah, of course it's gone it's gone through different phases. And of course now it definitely stages of life have changed it. And in my early life it was much more about um, finding relationship and a romantic relationship and all of that, and then having experiences with that were transformative, and then having to go back to the beginning. And I've had very much a psychically kind of a death rebirth experience psychologically and emotionally throughout my life, um, which shows up in for me astrologically. I'm also work with astrology, and so it's definitely changed, and it's changed again very much now, partially because now having this larger this perspective where it's less egocentric and more connected to the collective. And I find myself, even though I've always been very introverted, I'm less introverted because um, because I'm much more interested in connecting with other people right now and how we can come together at this time.
Yeah. What you just described is the path that Jung maps out as we go through age, ego consciousness development, and then as we get to that stage of being older and closer to death. Um, our dreams take place in our own minds, and yet we usually have no conscious control of our dreams. We usually don't expect what happens in our dreams. Are our dreams related to curiosity? Do our dreams show what we are curious about and how we are curious?
Mm, huh. Well, I don't, like you said that we don't have control over our dreams. Most of us don't. I think that let me think about that, the answer to that question. I don't think we do control the dreams. I think that they are coming from other places, and the images in the dreams are oftentimes coming, sometimes, of course, from the personal unconscious, and very often from the collective.
And then the latter part of that question was, do our dreams show what we're curious about and how we are curious?
I think dreams bring through what is unconscious. They never, I mean, this is how I've been taught. The dreams, I mean, this is pure Marie Louise von Franz. Dreams never tell us what we already know. So I don't know that they tell us about what our ego consciousness is about, but they will tell us what might be hidden from us and give us clues as to how we can follow on a soul level what is being asked.
So there's something there that knows what we don't know, or
Exactly.
knows what we're not conscious of. Um, and you've talked about the aspect of curiosity being going into the unknown. And you've just described something that is by design taking us into the unknown, which sounds like curiosity.
Yes. Yes. They're
Okay.
going. Yeah.
Okay. Like Young and Woodman, you work with your own dreams and the dreams of your patients to find a path. Young, as you know, had exceptional dreams and they influenced his work in psychology deeply. He recorded his dreams and analyzed them extensively in what are called the Red Book and the Black Book, which were only released publicly after his death. Were Jung's dreams a mystical experience or something else? Are dreams a mystical experience?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I think sometimes yes. I mean, Jung's referred to those that are of that. He called them the big dreams, that they stay with you for a lifetime, and they're the dreams that even if we don't write down, we remember, and they inform us through the years, and we may not understand them in the moment. But they have a kind of a ephemeral uh, energy to them that stays with us, and everyone has those, but they are rare, and most dreams are what Jung called compensatory, and now I'm speaking, what Jung would have said. We are the things that we're not aware of or conscious of in our daily life will emerge as in the dream, so that we can step back and get a reflection and find balance. So I think a lot of them come from the personal, but always I find the collective, also the objective, what Jung called objective psyche, does intersect with the personal subjective, but most often they are compensatory.
But the ones, however rare, that aren't compensatory, um, that aren't strictly based on the biography of a person,
Mhm.
uh, is there are those dreams mystical, or is that the wrong word for them?
No, I think that's a very accurate word. They are mystical. They're coming from somewhere else, and they're coming from the collective. And just as one of the things that I find fascinating is that Jung even said that our thoughts are not our own, and so the dream figures that come to us, we don't know who they are or where they're coming from. They're not coming from our personal psyche. They're coming from somewhere else. So it is mystical. I mean, absolutely.
Mm. You may have already answered this question, but let me ask it again. If you had a mystical experience, how would you react? What would you think is happening?
Well, I have had mystical experiences, and it's like the realization that we are so much more than there's so much more than we're aware of in our day-to-day lives, in our so-called mundane lives, and then that curiosity. Once you've had a mystical experience, whether it um, you're always seeking for that experience again, because it speaks of union, and that union is the union back with source, I think. And so I think that the curiosity is, I want more of that. I want to have the experience of unity. I think that's, or going home, you know, it's, where do we come from? I've been asking these questions myself, actually, and journaling recently. And I think that who are we? Why are we here? Where did we come from? What is our purpose? And, they're the questions that have always been asked. But they seem to be real. Like, why are we here? Who are we?
You described one breakthrough mystical experience when you were 17, under the tree, took LSD. Did you have any experiences like that before you were 17?
Uh, I would say, I mean, I had intimations. Um, Certainly, my father's death was one of the periods. My father's death was very profound. It was life changing, um, because it was something like my family and so many, we didn't really talk about what was happening. And so, um, when I realized he was dying, I realized it. I had gone into the kitchen, and there was a basket of fruit, and I had pulled an apple or some other fruit out, and I realized that he was going to die, and um, and realized that there is no way he could become. He was so emaciated that he could never be who he once was, and so I think that that was a really powerful, powerful moment. And I had no way of integrating or understanding that for many, many years. And I think that that's why the experience under the tree was such a revelation, that there was more.
Mm. How old was your dad when he died, and how long did the process of dying take?
He was quite young. He was 43, and he became ill with bone cancer, some kind, which was misdiagnosed when he was 40. And so he really struggled for about 3 years, and was very positive, very hopeful throughout. So, I mean, also we could say that's a kind of denial. So I think that it wasn't talked about at all. So it was a really hidden thing. So death has always been in the background. It's like, it wasn't something that we acknowledge, as we don't in our culture.
So your dad and you and the family are aware of him dying. It's not going to be a total surprise. Did you have conversations with him about that?
No, not at all.
Did that episode affect your decision to become a therapist?
Yes, great question. Absolutely, the reason I am a therapist. I often tell my clients that is that I wouldn't be here, but it was a black hole. It was a hole. It was an abyss, and I fell into that abyss. And over the years of my life, when I had romantic relationships that ended, I always fell into that same black hole. And because of that abyss experience, um, I I had to find it's an experience of falling, falling endlessly, and it's an abyss experience. So it's so terrifying that I had to learn what happens after you come through the black hole. Where do you land? So I think it's been very, very powerful, because it's about death and transformation. And so many I find that the people who come to me, we're all terrified of that experience, and yet it's really fundamental in a sense. And so, learning how to navigate that has been a lifelong process for me, and holding space for other people as well. And I'm not even going to pretend that I have completed that process. It's very much a heart connection, heart soul connection. It's soul, what Marion Woodman used to call soul work. It's soul work. And of course, it's rare. Sometimes many people can't go there. They're not ready to go into those depths. And in no way would I push someone. So the work I'm doing now, which is depth psychotherapy, is definitely not for everyone. And I think, well, just one session, we should just hear your story because that's your mythology. And within that mythology are all the patterns of your entire life. So at least we can then sit back and we can look at the patterns. And I think that that is really important. And that will engender some curiosity. It was like, wow, yes, I can see the patterns unfolding in my life. This is a repeating pattern. Why? Um, and what is it that my psyche is wanting?